Howdy everybody, welcome to the Reata Horsemanship family question and answer Wednesday, the Q&A Wednesday. I'm excited to be with you here today, and Stacy's in the background. She's going to be reading some questions for me, and I hope you guys have had a great week. It was a great week for us, and just a couple announcements before we get going. I want to make sure to let everybody know, if you haven't seen any of the announcements up to this point or any of these posts, we do have still the Reata Horsemanship family, the Reata Horsemanship membership is available for $1 for the first month and $20 a month after that, up until February 14th or through February 14th. So just next Wednesday, next Wednesday, right, is Valentine's Day, and that's the last day we're offering this. After that, the membership is going up to $39 a month and $390 for the year. And we're also taking away the lifetime membership. So the lifetime membership, literally, the lifetime membership is $247. If you bought a year membership after the 14th, so on the 15th, if you wanted to buy a year membership, it'd be $390. So if you want a lifetime membership, never have to pay anything again, don't have to worry about subscriptions or anything, make sure to buy that lifetime membership. So there'll be an option when you go to reatahorsemanship.com. Just click on the button at the top that says get my membership for $1. There's a couple buttons like that. You can click on that, and I believe there's an option in there to buy the lifetime membership. So you can just do the $1 for the first month, try it out, and $20 a month after that. You can cancel at any time, but we hope you stay with us. We're going to be adding lots of content there in the membership content, the videos and stuff. And the other thing is our clinic's coming up. So we still have some spots available for the Trails and Obstacles clinic that's coming up, or I mix it up all the time. So it's the Obstacles and Trail Clinic. It's up there at P&M Arena in Mesa, Arizona. And that's going to be February 17th and 18th. So make sure, if you want to attend that clinic, there's still a couple spots available. So make sure to call Stacy at 480-888-5030. If you don't have that number, just reach out to us. Yeah, send us a message, send us a text or something, and we'll get back with you and get you on the clinic. At that clinic, the first day, we do a lot of groundwork and riding in the arena, and then we try out the trail course there at P&M Arena. And then we also, on the next day, we do kind of the same thing and just advance it more than that. And then we also, anybody who attends the clinic gets to come on a trail ride the next weekend. And last week's trail ride was awesome. Yeah. We had, I enjoyed it so much. We went out to Goldfield Ghost Mine, or Goldfield Ghost Town, and ate at Mammoth Steakhouse. So we rode to Mammoth Steakhouse. We rode about 2 hours to get there, tied our horses up, had some lunch, and then rode back. That was a lot of fun. My horse actually got into a little bit of cactus right before we got to finished our ride, and he jumped around a little bit. Thank goodness everything went okay. Always keep needle nose pliers or some kind of multi-use tool when you're out here in Arizona, especially. I just keep one with me no matter what, because you never know when you have to cut wire or pull something off of your horse. And I've ridden for years out here in Arizona, and once a year or so, I either get a little cactus in my horse's fetlock or somewhere on my horse, or somebody gets it on their horse. So have some needle nose pliers or a multi-use tool available. And anything else? Oh, so the 17th and 18th is that clinic. And then March 2nd and 3rd is the fundamentals clinic. It's the Build a Foundation of Your Dream Horse clinic, where we just really focus on a lot of the exercises on the ground and in the saddle that I utilize to help my horses become safe, willing, and easy partners to get along with. And we're having a lot of success with horse training right now. And I think it's because I'm getting better at taking my time and not worrying about the time frame and just worrying more about the horse. Like I was working with a horse for a couple of sessions today. It was Fireball. And Fireball's a 10-year-old gelding that came to me. He's been ridden some, but he doesn't have a lot of experience, and he's a very explosive, very fast barrel horse. And just working with him and trying to be patient and work through all of his reactivity has really been a learning experience for me. And sometimes I'm my own worst critic, and I also push myself to, in the past I've made mistakes, and I still do this some, but I've made the mistake of trying to fit everything in in the horse training before that 4 weeks is up, or before the 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever it is up, so that I make sure that horse is ready for their owner. Well, when I do that, I push them a little too hard, and sometimes it backfires. And if you remember the Monty Roberts quote that says, if you act like you have 15 minutes, it's going to take you all day. But if you act like you have all day, it'll take you 15 minutes. And it's all about your presence, your energy. And if you're trying to hurry and rush your horse, it's gonna go sour. The situation's gonna get worse. And I see it all the time with trailer loading, when people get in a hurry to try to get their horse on the trailer, and when that happens, everything goes wrong. Everything, and then the horse doesn't learn, and even if they get the horse in the trailer, it's a terrible experience, and the horse doesn't get better about trailer loading. So take your time, act like you have all the time in the world, and that, because your energy is low, you can really help your horse, help him learn, help him make choices and learn. Alrighty.
So, and that was the 2nd and 3rd?
Yeah, the Fundamentals Clinic is the 2nd and 3rd of March. And so that's going to be held right here at Reata Horsemanship and in our arena. So we only have 8 spots available for that. So if you're looking to advance your horsemanship at any level, make sure to come to that clinic, because you'll be amazed at the groundwork you're going to learn, the desensitizing, the sensitizing, getting them to move better, getting them to respond better, not react, and making them a more safe and willing partner. I guarantee that's going to happen to you. If that doesn't happen, we'll give you your money back. But everybody has success in these clinics because they want to learn. When you come to the clinic, you want to learn, and you're dedicated, and so am I. I'm dedicated to making your horse the most safe and willing partner possible, and your relationship with your horse the best possible.
Okay. So we've got a couple questions in the question and answer section. We'll start with Jake's question. It's, how do you work on your horse picking up the correct lead when cantering? My mare has a problem with cross-firing and or just in the opposite lead as she should be. Okay,
so how do you get your horse to pick up the correct lead? I step back and I go all the way back to lunging, and usually inside of a round pen where you have a border outside around your horse. If you're trying to get your horse to, now if you want to talk about picking up the correct lead in the saddle alone, I can talk about that, but I'm going to break it down to the groundwork first, because groundwork is what I'll work on to try to get a horse nice and balanced and relaxed when they're loping. I always get a horse able to lope on the correct lead on the ground before I ride them. That's just how I do it. So use a round pin or something that you have a border on, so you're going to ask your horse to speed up. So when you point, this is my lead hand. I have the lead rope in my lead hand, and I'm going to point, and I'm going to ask my horse to speed up. And sometimes if a horse is really challenged with a lead, there's usually 2 reasons why they're challenged. One is they get lazy and they keep breaking down to a trot or half trot, and that's what causes them to crossfire. Or they get reactive and they crossfire. So being reactive, they're moving away from you instead of forward and collected. If you're on the ground, then what they're going to do is they're going to push with the inside hip and pick up the wrong lead on the back. A lot of times in the front feet, they pick up the correct lead, but the hind feet, they pick up the wrong lead because they're pushing away from you. So it's just a matter of getting them relaxed and moving forward and collected, and then they'll pick up that correct lead. I had a horse one time, a quarter horse, that came to me, and I took about a month to get him to where he could pick up the correct lead. But what I don't want to do is get a horse. This is a horse that he could pick up the correct lead on one side, but I think it was his right lead that he couldn't pick up the correct lead, and he was always crossfiring on that right side. So he was in a left lead on his hind end going to the right, and it was really hard to get him to relax and pick up that right lead. And I think what happened in his life, and he was like 12 years old or something, so I think he just got in a bad habit of picking up that left lead with his hind end. He just loved the left lead, and so even when he's going right, he wanted to pick up a left lead with his hind end. So in his situation, I had to drive him really hard forward. So if a horse gets lazy and they slow down, or a horse is just really unbalanced, sometimes if you drive them forward, if you ask for more speed and really push them from the hind end, then they're going to be forced to switch leads and pick up that outside foot, drive with the outside foot. And when they drive with the outside hind foot, they pick up the correct lead on their hinds. So that's something you can do if you're in an arena and you're doing lunging. Let's assume you don't have a round pin. So go to an arena and you want to find a corner. There's 4 corners in an arena, in most arenas, unless you have a triangle one, which I've never seen. There's 4 corners, so find one corner, and what you're going to do is as soon as they approach the corner, see, my hand is coming towards the fence, let's see. Yeah, my hand's coming towards, so pretend like this is the horse, and the screen is the fence. So the horse is coming here, and as soon as they get about 45 degrees to the fence, then I'm going to ask them to speed up, and they have to push with their hind end and push forward, and they can't push away from me and use that inside hind end because they have the fence next to them. And then they also have the corner, so they have the fence in front of them and the fence to their right. So if it's going on a left lead, the fence is on the right and the fence is in front of them. And so if they drive hard enough, in most cases, they're going to pick up a left lead. Now, a few months ago, we had a clinic here at Reata Horsemanship, and there was a horse that struggled quite a bit with this. And if they don't pick up the correct lead, in most cases, I slow them back down, because most of the time it's because their hind end is pushing away from you because they're not relaxed and collected. So if they pick up the wrong lead, you want to just slow them back down, shake your lead rope a little bit. I like to say easy to slow them back down. And sometimes you might have to yield the hindquarters to slow them down or stop them and then send them the other way. But I want to slow them down to a trot. And then when I get to the fence, ask them to lope again. Slow them down to a trot. When I get to the fence, ask them to lope again. And in most cases, I would say 9.5 out of 10 times, you can get a horse to start to pick up the correct lead that way. And then when they're away from the fence, so there are basically 4 corners of your circle. The 2 corners have the fence, and the other corners, or the other corner, corners, there is no fence, right? It's in the middle of the arena. So when they're out in the middle of the arena, don't push them. Don't just hang on to that lead rope and let them kind of collect and come around, and then push them when they get to the fence. Well, that was interesting. In the background, there's all kinds of like fireworks and stuff. I don't know what that was about. That was crazy. I don't know if somebody was able to like put fireworks on there. Maybe. That was cool. Sorry about that. This is all kind of new to me, but there were fireworks in the background. So I guess that was exciting. But speed them up when they get to the fence, and then just hang on and just kind of let them come around the corner when they're not against the fence. Now, so that's kind of the biggest thing is slow them down to a trot and then ask them to speed up. And when you ask them to speed up, make your motion really smooth. Ask with smoothness. So one problem people have is they ask, like if I'm asking with my lead hand by pointing like this and the lead rope's coming through to my horse, some people will kind of jerk with their ask, and when they jerk, that upsets the horse, and then they go sideways. So you want to ask really smoothly, especially if it's a real reactive horse like the one like Fireball I was working with today. My ask is very, very smooth. So my point is very smooth, and then I use rhythm with my stick and string, and I'll swing, spank, 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 spank the ground, spank it harder, spank the butt. Right, and until they speed up. So use rhythm and consistency with that ask. If you're arrhythmic with your ask, then they're going to be reactive to what you're asking them to do. So be rhythmic and be smooth. And then if you're in the saddle, so leads and lead changes is we could have a whole day of just talking about this. So I'll try to make this relatively short. I saw one person, I actually read that question, and I saw somebody answered that question, and they were talking about, they said pick up a counter canter, and then the way they explained it, I think I would probably disagree with how they explained it. I can't remember who it was that talked about it, but they were saying pick up a counter canter and then slow them down to trot and then ask them for a canter. So a counter canter, okay, let's back up. So a canter with a correct lead, if I'm going left, it's right hind, then left hind and right front hit together, and then left front hit last. So if you're looking at just the hinds, it's right hind, left hind, right hind, left hind. That's a left lead. In the fronts, it's right front, left front, right front, left front. Okay, so, but it's a 3-beat gait, so it's to the left. So they're leading with the inside feet. So the left hind is leading and the and the left front is leading. So counter cantering, so if that's a left lead, then a counter canter would be that same lead to the left, but I'm going to turn my horse to the right. So I'm going to ask my horse to circle to the right while on a left lead. And the way you do that is, now this is much harder. So this is a little bit more advanced than, I want to mention this because somebody answered the question by using this example, but I'll back down to something a little bit more simple. Okay, so a counter canter, if you can get your horse to counter canter, then you're asking him for a left lead to the right or a right lead going left. So let's assume I'm going to the right in a right circle. I'm on a left lead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tip that nose to the right. I ask for some collection, some vertical flexion when I tip that nose to the right, and then I keep my right leg on. My right leg is going to push the hips to the left, and when you push the hips to the left, that maintains that left lead. So I'm asking him to go forward and keep a left lead. So that's called a counter canter. What that does is that causes your horse to struggle. It's hard to do that. So they're having to work really hard to stay in that left lead while they're going in a right circle. So eventually what you do is you just take your right leg off, put your left leg on, and then ask for the change to the right. And a lot of times horses will they'll get tired going left, and then when you allow them to go right, it's a pretty easy transition to the right. And what she said is slow down to a trot and then ask for a canter to the right. That can be an effective way. But most of the time, I ask a horse to pick up the lead in a corner. If you're in an arena, just trot down to the corner. So let's say my direction is right towards the camera, and then at the camera, I turn right. So if I'm going this way and I'm going to turn right, that means I want to pick up a right lead. So to pick up that correct lead, I'm going to wait till my horse gets right to the corner, just before he gets to the corner, and then I'm going to squeeze with my outside leg. It's my left leg at the 2 to 3 position, and ask him to pick up speed. And as he hits that corner, it's the same concept as when you're lunging. When they hit the corner, he can't go that way, so he can't push with his right hind. He's got to drive with his left hind to come around that corner correctly. If he misses it and he picks up the wrong lead, just slow him down, trot to the next corner, ask him to lope at that corner. If he misses it, trot to the next corner, do a nice long trot, and then when he gets to that corner, ask for the lead. And I can almost guarantee you, like I said, 9.5 out of 10 times, your horse is going to start picking up the correct lead when they get to that corner. If you try to do this out in the middle of the arena or out on the trail or something where there's no boundaries, it can be really hard. It's a lot more technical, a lot more challenging to get a horse who struggles with picking up the correct lead to pick up the correct lead. So that's my recommendation for helping your horse pick up the correct lead. Just remember those principles of using the corner. Your horse has to drive with his outside leg, or in your case, Jake, this would be a mare. It sounds like your mare has a hard time picking up the correct lead. So use those corners to your advantage. Get in an arena, use those corners, ask for the speed right as you get to the corner. I bet you'll start picking up the correct lead. And there's a lot of other things we can do to work on that, but like I said, it's a whole day seminar for that one.
Okay. All right, we got another question here. It's from Steve. What exercise would you recommend for a horse that's always hot out of the gate?
Okay, what exercise would I recommend for a horse that's hot out of the gate? I had an interesting, I watched a bunch of different trainers and listened to other trainers, and I had an interesting opinion from a trainer out in California today that I listened to, and he was saying how he never lunges a horse and how he thought it was a waste of time. Now, I could tell you 10 reasons why I think lunging is not a waste of time. It can be a waste of time if you don't do it correctly, but if you do it correctly with the right mentality and you're looking for certain things and you're trying to achieve certain things, lunging can be a great way to kind of get the wiggles out a little bit, but also get your horse's mind thinking. Any horse that is a little bit fresh and reactive at first, either they're reactive and bolty at first, or they're reactive and bucky at first, or reary or whatever. If they're being reactive at first, if I get my horse lunging, I started to trot, and then work into a canter, and then speed it up and get a really fast canter eventually after, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes, just depends. Do lots of changes of direction. I want to make sure that my horse is loping in circles and nice and relaxed. If I can get my horse to do that, then usually that's that hyperreactivity or that what would he say exactly? What was wrong with the horse?
It would just come out hot out of
yeah, so she'd come out hot. So people make this assumption, and the trainer today and his wife said this. She said, if you lunge him every time, if you lunge him for an hour, next time, eventually you're going to have to lunge him for 2 hours. And that's completely the opposite of what's true. And I would love to get on a podcast with these guys. It would be fun to just discuss this because I really highly respect this trainer. I respect him. He's an old cowboy and he has a lot of knowledge, but I don't think he knows a lot about the groundwork that I do. And I think lunging is probably my number one exercise, just because you can get them moving their feet and get them to start to relax while they're loping. If they're not relaxed while they're loping, I don't feel comfortable getting on them. I just don't. Now, over time, if I have a horse that I've had in training for 3 months or 4 months or 6 months or something, one of our horses at Reata Horsemanship, I might just saddle him up, maybe just lead him around a little bit, yield the hindquarters a couple times, get on and go. And so I don't lunge consistently all the time. But when I'm first training a horse, I lunge consistently. And if you don't lunge consistently, until my horse can lunge consistently and decrease the amount of time that they lunge and how long it takes to get nice and relaxed and collected, then I'm going to keep doing it. So this trainer today and his wife, who said, you're just going to have to lunge more and more and more. And the trainer said, you're just building muscle in a horse. No, that's not my opinion. My opinion and my experience is, if you do it correctly, you're building mental stability. You're building your horse's ability to handle high emotions. And when your horse can handle high emotions, then you have a horse that can handle crazy stuff that happens out on the trail or wherever you are. So I would say lunging probably is number one, and probably lunging with hindquarter yields to change directions. The forequarter yields helps me to see how reactive they are, but sometimes forequarter yield can make them a little bit more reactive. So if you yield the hindquarters to change directions, that helps them disengage the hindquarters and bend and relax. Now, when I get on my horse, I'm going to do forward bending. I'm going to laterally flex, and then I'm going to do forward bending. And I'm going to keep forward bending that horse until she's nice and relaxed before I let her out and start moving straight. Today I rode a horse. She's in training, and it's literally my 6th ride on her. But I rode her out in the wash, and I did, for 2 hours straight, I did lots of bending. I did bending to slow her down. I did bending to help her achieve that forward bend, that nice relaxed forward bend. I did bending to help her to stop with a one-rein stop. I haven't been able to use the round pin a whole lot in the arena because of the rein, so I took her out, and she's relaxed enough, but she has a lot to learn in the saddle. And so lateral. So if you have a hot horse, that horse has got to learn to bend and relax. If your horse can't bend and relax in the saddle, then you got a horse that's just going to stay hot. The worst thing you can do with a hot horse is pull back on 2 reins and keep them straight. That's the worst thing you can do, because they're going to get hotter and hotter and hotter with you use those 2 reins and pull back straight. They're going to start rearing. They're going to start getting more and more uptight. So it's like a pressure cooker. If you pull back on 2 reins, you're just turning up the heat on that pressure cooker, and eventually that baby's going to blow. So if you want a hot horse to start to relax, do some groundwork first, especially your lunging, but there's a lot of other exercises. Make sure to go to reatahorsemanship.com and join our membership if you want to see those exercises. And if you are in our membership, make sure to go over those exercises. There's many, many exercises in there, and many videos, hundreds of videos that will teach some of these exercises I'm talking about to help your horse be nice and relaxed. We want the answer, but we're not willing to put the work in. And if you'll just put some small, consistent effort every day with your horse, work on one thing, work on one of those exercises, you'll be amazed at how much improvement your horse has over time.
All right, so we've got one final kind of a question, but more of an ask. Is Kylie said it would be cool to have a master list of everything you should have when you're out on a trail ride.
Yes, Kylie, that's a great suggestion, and we do have a list. I think we have like a top 10 list of things we should have, and I also have a PDF of maybe like 40 or 50 things that we created a list of stuff that we
Keep
can
in your trailer too.
mostly to keep on you if you're riding along, if you're out on a long trail ride, and usually a lot of that stuff is, or let's say probably at least 30% of that stuff is for overnight trail rides. But there's, you almost can't be too prepared. But having that list, yes, we have one, and when we had our old membership site, we had that up. We haven't put that up yet on our new membership site. So I'm gonna make in your library, in the Reata Horsemanship membership library. So when you log in as a member, you'll see my library, and you click on my library, and it shows all the videos, the courses, and everything. In that library, I'm gonna have a section for stuff like that. Some PDF, preparedness items. So yes, Kylie, that's coming. Thanks for that question, and that'll be something good for the members. Let me just say one thing about what I was doing today with one of the horses, and that is take advantage of water, especially here in Arizona. Because it's raining and I wasn't able to use my arena, I really took advantage of the water that was around and worked with some of those horses that I have in training that haven't experienced water, and worked with them. Like one horse I worked with for about 45 minutes going over water until he would finally be nice and relaxed, even through small puddles. So taking the time to take the circumstance you're in and utilize what you have in front of you to as training tools for your horse. So I had a bunch of puddles, big puddles around our place and down in the wash or going towards the wash. So I utilized those and did a lot of training on the ground and in the saddle going through water. So I think, there are a lot of horses out here in Arizona, and a lot of horses that have been stalled all their life. They're deathly afraid of water. Remember, horses are, they have real poor depth perception. And so if they might look down at a small puddle, and you've seen some of the memes where the horses just freaked out of this little puddle, it's because they don't understand the depth of it. They don't know if it's a huge hole that they're going to fall into. So their depth perception is real poor. So they have to learn to follow you as their leader. And if you learn the techniques, like the pass-through technique is the #1 technique to teach a horse to go over water. I did it probably literally, 700 or 800 times today, just in like a 45-minute period, just back and forth until this horse finally started to relax. And I even eventually got him to where I could drop my hand and say, whoa, and he would stop in the middle of a small puddle. So that was a huge thing for him. So utilize the stuff you have, be consistent, take some time to help your horse get over that, because a lot of horses that have been stalled, like I said, or been in Arizona all their life, they might not know how to go through water. And so if a horse hasn't experienced it, just because it's natural to us, and it would seem like it would be natural to a horse, if a horse hasn't grown up with that, whatever it is, then that horse is not going to be comfortable with that. So help your horse out by taking advantage of those.
Do you want to touch base on just reminding people what book we're reading this month?
Yes. Okay. So we have the book. Yeah, it's the 5 love languages. So this month for Valentine's Day and the month of love, I guess, we're doing the 5 love languages. So that's our book club in the Reata Horsemanship membership. Now, for the members out there who they haven't seen the Zoom call for the last book, Think Like a Horse, for last month, we haven't done that yet. And I'm trying to figure out when to do that exactly. I'm thinking we might do like the 3rd week in February, sometime in the 3rd week in February, most likely Monday, would be a Zoom call to discuss Think Like a Horse. And I was reading that book again today, and it is unbelievable how much stuff is in it. We could literally take that one book, Think Like a Horse, and we could have that as our theme for the whole year, because there's so many topics in there that we could cover. This is an incredible book. And so make sure to read that and come ready to discuss that as members. And then the other book is The 5 Love Languages, and that's Gary Chapman, I think, by Gary Chapman. That's a great book, and the theme for the month of February is Seek to Love. Seek to love others. So it's about service, and it's also about, you know, loving your horse and loving and understanding your horse. And you can take lessons from the 5 love languages and apply them to your horse. You can apply them to your kids. You can apply them to friends and family, to your spouse, of course, your spouse or significant other. That's a great book, and we're going to be discussing that book at the end of this month. Hopefully by the end of this month, by the end of February, we'll be caught up on our Zoom calls for those 2 books, and then we'll get into the 3rd book in March.
Perfect.
Thank you guys for watching, and I appreciate your questions. Make sure that you get into that chat in the Reata Horsemanship family. There's a Q&A Wednesday chat. You can get in there and ask questions. We'll use questions from there. We'll also use questions during this Q&A live. So thanks everybody for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and rest of your week. Until next time, be thankful, live with purpose, live with passion, and as always, stay safe in the saddle.